Everybody, welcome to tonight's Fibonacci live stream. I'm excited for this one, the secrets of using Fibonacci for trading. I'm going to go over how I use Fibonacci both in retracements, both in extensions to find entries, to find exits. Some of my key secret Fibonacci levels that came from Forex and some other markets. And also I'm going to go over my Canfield Fibonacci extensions that I use for long-term investing. We've got about 150, 200 people on right now. I'm sure there will be a few people rolling in. I want to make sure that the sound looks good though. So everybody, I want to, if you just let me know the sound looks good. Let me go back here. There she goes. YouTube having errors. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the little delay. You have to click go live twice, but all right. So just hit me with yes, it's good. Sounds great. I just want to make sure that's good before we move on. What's up, guys? So we got Pekin here. We got Alan. We got Paul, Kyle, Ryan, Fibonacci. All right, cool. Can see. Does the sound look good? Yeah, does the sound look good? The secrets. 4x4. Hey, man. What's up, Saul, Paul, Fiboswani? All right, cool. All right, so Fiboswani. So we've got the Fibonacci master in here himself. We got Chingas, my main educator for Signal Profits in here. Make sure you guys throw him a hi in chat. All right, cool. So we've got about 150, 200 people on tonight. We're going to be going over a lot, okay? So if you're new to the channel and you're watching this after the fact, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified of all these live streams that I do. This is part of my my beginner trader series. We've gone over risk management. We've gone over support and resistance levels. We've gone over trend channels. This is our Fibonacci level. And so there's a lot of high quality content. You can just watch this free series and learn how to trade just from that. But in this one, we're going to be talking about Fibonacci. We're going to go through a lot of stuff. With every single video that I do a, whoops, I kind of hid myself there. Where'd I go? I do a margin trading mastery free course giveaway. So all you have to do is like the video and then leave a comment below. Because it's a live stream, you have to wait for the live stream to finish and then leave a comment below, because that's how the YouTube comment picker does that. And that's at margintradingmastery.com. This is a course on Bybit, BitMEX, complete walkthrough, and goes over futures contracts, leverage, margin, how to use all that stuff. So all you have to do is like the video, leave a comment below, and you'll be automatically entered. All you guys who watch my channel, you guys are already familiar with that. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in and let's talk about it. So what I want you to do though is I want you to relax. I want you to chill out. I don't want you to have to take a bunch of notes. So with this, all you have to do is go to the link in the comments and you can get the whole, all of this information. So you can download it. So you don't have to panic and do all your notes or whatever. And so I did that just so you guys have all that information available for you. And we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end. So make sure you stay till the end so we can go through that. So for me, I'm personally like a crazy math nerd. I had a minor in mathematics. I've taken finite mathematics all the way up to calculus 4 in college. So I'm kind of obsessed with math. And that really goes hand in hand with playing poker as far as like pot odds, probabilities. And the same thing goes with trading. It's all about statistically mathematical edge played out over a long period of time. But Fibonacci is a part of that statistical tool. So that's why I love Fibonacci, and it's one of the most famous mathematical formulas. So for me, I used to trade all kinds of indicators, all kinds of tools, kind of searching for different systems. I started out trading options, then I traded biopharmaceutical stocks, traded commodities here and there. I've never been a Forex trader personally, but I am planning on getting into Forex maybe this year and next year just to see what it's all about. But for me, my edge is in the cryptocurrency markets. I've been trading them full time for about 3 years. But the one thing that kind of resonated with me across all these different tools, from price action trading to trend trading to range trading to scalping to GAN analysis, astroeconomics, all these different like indicators, tools, systems, was that Fibonacci is one of the top tools across any of the markets that's applicable. And the cool thing about Fibonacci is if you do Elliott wave, if you do harmonic trading, if you do fractals, all those things, a lot of times it has Fibonacci that kind of interplays with all of those. Elliott wave is just a mathematical system for using Fibonacci, whether it's the retracements, the extensions, all the different waves. All those different waves are basically a derivative of Fibonacci in one way or the other. Okay, so want to make sure all the sound's good. Okay. All right, cool. So the Fibonacci sequence, I don't know how much you guys have studied the Fibonacci sequence, but what it is it's a mathematical sequence that's found in nature and applied to trading. So it was actually this Italian mathematician, economist, and they kind of tasked him with this mathematical experiment to figure out how animals breed in nature, how they replicate, and the speed at which they replicate. So what he found out is that there was a sequence, and how he found it out was that when you take the number before and then you add it to the next number, it gets you the next number in the sequence. So 0, 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, so it goes 0, 1, 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So this sequence basically looks something like this. 0, 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8, 13, 21, 34, and it goes on, right? So 55, and all the way out to infinity. And so that is essentially what the Fibonacci sequence is. Now, it goes pretty far out, and there's a lot of things that you can use, 89, 144, 223, all the way out to 2584. A lot of times what they found is that it forms this spiral pattern, and that spiral pattern with Fibonacci is what is known in nature. So a lot of times this kind of gets replicated. Whoops, actually I'm gonna go to whoops here, and then I'm gonna minimize my video because my lag I think is my video is being a little bit laggy. Okay, so we get Fibonacci in nature. Yeah, his name was not Fibonacci. I understand that, Quants. Okay, so you got Fibonacci in nature. It applies to genetics. They found it in the solar system, weather, flowers, all kinds of different places. But they also found it in humans, and there's two really famous portraits from Van Gogh and Da Vinci. And what they found is that they used this Fibonacci sequence for the ratio of the eyes, where the nose is placed, the ratio of the ear. And that's how some of their drawings look so good on that. So when it comes to Fibonacci and trading, now this is my own theory, okay? What I think that Fibonacci does is it measures human emotion. Now remember, that's my crazy opinion, okay? So what this tool really does is it measures two things. It measures fear of the market and it measures greed of the market. And so what that does is that allows for so it's basically measuring the retracement, which is how fearful a market is, and it's measuring the greed, which is that extension, right? So it's measuring these two emotions of a group of people that are trading these markets. So why is it useful in trading? Well, Fibonacci retracements are ratios to use to identify potential reversal levels or potential pullback levels in uptrends. And these ratios are found by mathematical formulas in the Fibonacci sequence. So retracements, like I said, they can be applied to after a decline to forecast the length of a counter trend bounce, and these retracements can be combined with other indicators and price patterns to create an overall strategy, which I'll cover during the Q&A. And then the Fibonacci extensions help to forecast targets, take profit levels in both uptrends and in downtrends, and we'll talk about that. So the most common Fibonacci levels that exist are the 23.6, the 38.2, the 5, the 61.8, and the 78.6. Now, what I want to say is, oh my goodness. All right, we've got to hide you. I'm sorry. All right. So the most common Fibonacci levels are these 5. Now, you can see them as 0.236 or 23.6, but these are basically percentages, right? So this is 23.6%, 38.2%, so on. So we're going to get into some math. I hope you guys don't fall asleep while I'm doing this, but it's important so you guys can figure this out. So 23.6, so all of these are retracement values, but they all come from mathematics of the formula. So the 23.6% ratio is where you skip three the sequences in division. So you take one number and you divide it 3 numbers out. So 34 divided by 144. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the actual sequence here. Whoops. Okay, so if you take 34 and you divide that 144, that gives you 23.6. And you can do this with any of these numbers. Take 610, divide it by 2584. It's going to give you that same 23.6, okay? Whoops. Where did my little thing go? All right. I minimize that, so give me 1 second. All right. Okay, so that's how we get that 23.6 in nature, okay? So let's go back here. The 38.2 is 0.618 squared, or you can skip one sequence in division, right? So it's 55 divided by 144, so that's 1. The 61.8 is you divide one number divided by the next number, so 55, 89, so on and so forth. You can do that out to infinity and you'll get as close to 0.618 as possible. And then the 78.6 is a square root of 61.8, or that little golden ratio. So that's how we actually calculate these. Now there's other numbers that people use in the Fibonacci sequence that are not a part of the sequence. For instance, the 50% level, which is what I mentioned here. This is not a Fibonacci number, but it's very, very commonly used because it's it's basically what we call the point of control, which is the middle of a trend of a top and a bottom, a swing high and a swing low. Now there's additional Fibonacci levels. Now these are the ones that you'll find very, very frequently hit that really, really help for trading. So you get the 65%, the 70.6, the 88.6, the 14.7, the 1477, and then also the 1414. And I'll go over those in a second. But I'm gonna have you go on and I'm gonna have you add these four specifically because these show up a lot, especially in crypto. So how we calculate the extension values? Well, if you divided forward in the sequence, the extensions are dividing backwards in the sequence. So instead of 55 by 89 to get 618, we divide the opposite way, and that's how we get the 161.8. So this is also called the golden ratio. This 161.8 shows up everywhere on your charts when you're looking for extension targets, when you're looking for take profits. The 127.2 is the square root of the golden ratio. So remember that this was the square root of 618. The square root of 1618 is the 1272. This shows up everywhere in Forex. This is a really, really common Forex level, okay? The 261.8 is 1618 squared. And then you've got these other ones, 0, 50, 100, 200, and also the 3618, the 423, and then the 5618. Those are also very, very common extension values, okay? So these are those next three, the 1414, the 361.8, and the 423. The 361.8 is not actually a Fibonacci number. It's just 261, the 261.8 plus 1, okay? All right, these are the most important levels that you'll find in general across all markets, the 38.2, the 61.8, and the 161.8. If all you use are these three, you're going to do pretty well, all right? So where can we find the Fibonacci retracement tool? Now, I will go through these with you in just a minute on the Q&A. For some reason, my my video is lagging a little bit, so I apologize for that. But in the taskbar on the far left, there's a section called Gann and Fibonacci tools. So I'm going to show you that right now. So on the left, you're going to see this little arrow right here. You pop that arrow out, you go down, and then you find the Fib retracement tool and then the trend-based Fib extension tool. So what we're going to use is Fib retracement, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to click on properties, and then you're going to change, you can change the color of your level lines. You can do all this different stuff, but what you're going to do is you're going to add those numbers right in through here, okay? So you're going to, if you want to add a decimal, you're going to add a 0 first, 0.618, 0.786, 1.618, okay? So I'm going to do this on TradingView in just a minute, but we will go through that in a little bit, okay? So the proper way to use the Fibonacci retracement tool is to find the lowest point and the highest point of a trend, and then that'll give you the pullback, okay? Give me 1 second. Okay. So if it's in an uptrend, you place your Fib tool at the lowest point and you drag it up to the highest point. If it's in a downtrend, you place your Fib tool at the highest point and you drag it down to the lowest point. So here's just a simple example. So this is ARK Bitcoin. So you take it from the lowest point and then you drag it to the highest point, and that will give you the retracement values for the pullback, okay? So, and this is in a downtrend. So in a downtrend, you take it from the highest point, drag it to the lowest point, and that'll give you the pullback levels for potential short. Or if you catch a reversal, it'll give you good places to take take profits. All right. So how do we use the Fibonacci extension tool? If it's in an uptrend, you place your Fib tool at the lowest point and drag it up to the highest point if it's in a downtrend. So I'm going to go over an example here because it's just easier just to do examples. So if it's in a downtrend and we're looking for extension targets, okay? So we take the highest down to the lowest, and then we get these extension tools right here. So you see the 1272, you see the 1618. So these are good take profit levels if you think this is the low. So this was the last uptrend. Then we had this break and downtrend. So we use from the swing high to the swing low, and that gives us these extensions, right? So the 100% level, that's obviously going to be swing high resistance. So that's a very, very key level. Okay, but then you've got these extension tools where you can lock in profit or you can scale out of a trade. So you can see here that Bitcoin around 12,000 accurately and perfectly hit this level at the 1618, which was almost, it never closed above this level. So that was a great take profit target from this lower buy zone, in the 3,000 to 4,000 range. So here's how we use it in a downtrend. So here's our swing high, here's our swing low. So we came down, we bounced off this low, we came up, and then we got rejected. Okay, so here's our swing low, here's our swing high. So we drag the tool from down to up, and then that would give us the extension of the 1272 and the 1618, and those can be our swing take profit levels. Now you can use Fibonacci on a very small scale, and you can use it on a very large scale, and we're going to go through all that in just a moment. So here's might be something new that you've never seen before. Now this is called the Canfield Fibonacci extensions. Now I called it the Canfield Fibonacci extensions. Well, A, because it's my last name, but B, because I'd never seen anybody else use any of these numbers before to forecast long-term trends. If you guys want me to go over this on TradingView, I will during the Q&A and the live stuff. But so these numbers are basically derivatives off the extension. Okay, so instead of like the 1618 where it's the number divided by the number prior, then this is any number divided third number in the sequence, fourth number, fifth number, sixth number, seventh number, eighth number, ninth number. And there's a lot of assets that hold true to these. And the way that I use them is I use them on the first leg of the impulse to get the long-term forecasting. So I'm talking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years out that these tools can use for that, for the long-term investing forecast. Sometimes it hits them much faster, like Tilray, and some other assets hit them much, much faster. Parabolic markets, you can use these Canfield Fibonacci extensions as well to forecast beyond the 4.23, okay? Okay, so someone's talking about volume. Are you guys having issues with the volume? I just want to know. Okay, so bold name. Best way to use Fibonacci. Okay, so you use it in conjunction with other tools for confluence. So Fibonacci is a tool great in and of itself, but you want to use other things and other tools you've used. So other things that we've talked about, moving average, which is dynamic supports, trend lines, key support resistance levels, monthly, weekly, daily support resistance levels, oversold, overbought conditions that will help to kind of determine which Fibonacci levels you may be reaching. Oscillator divergences. So if a market is pulling back and you start to see divergences on, let's say, the RSI 4-hour, and you're coming up on the 61.8, that maybe be a good level to look for an entry with a stop loss below, because you're starting to see momentum shift. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our charts. We're going to practice drawing some Fibonacci on different charts, different levels, and we're going to talk about extensions, and we're going to talk about extensions and retracements. So I don't want to bleed your eyes. So do you guys want white chart or black chart? Go ahead and leave a comment in the chat. Quan Slab, bold name. I'm out of here. Well, no one had used it, so, Bollinger called it the Bollinger Band, right? So I let him set the precedent. All right, so let me know what color chart you guys want, and then we'll go from there. So Bitcoin right now, we're gonna look at three different tools here. Okay. All right. So let me change it to black real quick. Black, And then let me change the settings. And let's change the template for dark theme. Okay, cool. All right, and I'm gonna make this a little bit thicker so you guys can see this. We'll make it Miami thick. Black, please. All right. All right, then we're gonna maximize that. Okay, so there's a few different ways you can draw these. All right, so there's the all-time high, or the, basically the all-time high. Let me get my favorite tools up. All right, so where we find this on TradingView, you're gonna go on the left, you're gonna click this arrow, you're gonna go down, and you're gonna find fib retracement. Now, what else you're gonna do is you're gonna click this star button, and it's gonna add it to your tool of your favorite tools up here, okay? So we're gonna maximize this so it looks better for you guys. I'm gonna throw on that so it makes this a little bit easier. And then we're just gonna have a super, super clean chart. There we go. All right, so if in a downtrend and we're looking for pullback levels, we go here. Okay, so all-time high and then down to this level. Okay, and this gives us the 61.8 is right around 11,050. Now this is from 14,000, so this is not all-time high, but this gives us a retracement level of around 11,000. So if we have some other things that line up, this level could be a good take profit level if we entered into this zone down here, because the 61.8 is something that Bitcoin really, really, really loves. And I can show you guys a really, really comprehensive analysis I did on the 61.8. Let me see here. Come down, come down. One second. Okay. So here is an analysis that I did back in the when Bitcoin was sitting around 39.95. I said, will Bitcoin reach the 61.8? Now, what I did was I actually went through and I studied all of Bitcoin's history, and I measured all the times that Bitcoin retraced to the 61.8 level from all-time highs, all-time lows. Now, this is in an uptrend, and this is also in a downtrend. So if you guys want to go back and study that, I'll throw that comment or I'll throw this link in there. But you can see all of the times that Bitcoin gravitates to the 61.8 level, okay? So that's for you guys that you can look at. But all right, so with what we're looking at now is, so we've got this 61.8 level here. So first off, the most important thing is when you throw a Fibonacci on a chart, what you want to look at is you want to see whether or not, I'm going to get my drawing tool here. Where's my brush tool? Okay, there's. All right, so you want to look at whether or not the chart is actually respecting the Fibonacci levels. So we came all the way down, we bounced, and then we came up and we hit this 147 level. So that's one of the ones that I was mentioning. So that's before the 23.6. So this was resistance, and it also was support back here. Now we came up and we rejected hard at the 23.6, and then we found support on it. So what we know just from kind of just looking at it on first glance is that the Fibonacci levels are actually lining up pretty damn good. We came up here, we got front ran on this 38.2, kind of rejected, came up here, found some pretty decent support, the 38.2, and now we're challenging this 50% Fibonacci level. And so if this, if we can hold at this 38.2, then the next logical level should be around 11,000 at this 61.8. Okay, so the most important thing you should take away from this is Fibonacci is only valid if the chart is respecting it. If the chart isn't respecting it at all, then there's no point in using it, using Fibonacci. Okay, so you can use it on a high time frame like that. You can use it even on a higher time frame. So let's say we want to use it on the weekly. Okay, so we go from all-time high to the swing low at 3,200, and if we take a look at this here, well, what we can see is that Bitcoin tagged the 61.8 to the money. And this also happened to be a strong weekly resistance level back from here. So it tagged the 13,600 level. And then you can also see on a weekly level, we didn't actually close above the 50% Fibonacci level. So again, this was from a downtrend perspective, we go from the high to the low. And then we use this to forecast maybe when we can enter a short, okay? Because this is when only when a market breaks all-time high is that, then a bullish continuation. Because right now we made a lower high from the 20,000 level. We made a lower high here. If we close here and then we reject and we fall down from here, then we'll have another lower high in this macro trend. But in the strong term, we've got higher lows, but we're still getting lower highs. Okay, so that's how we can find pullbacks from an uptrend to a downtrend to figure out maybe where we can take profit or where we can short. Now, that's high time frame macro Fibonacci. Now, what we can also do is, let's say we zoom into the 4-hour, we can also use it at very local levels. Okay, so let's say we had this pullback here, and we want to figure out where we should buy on, or we had this bounce here and we got rejected here. Let's say we want to try and figure out where we want to buy. Well, if we go from the swing low to the swing high, we can look for our 61.8, okay? And you can see that tagged that 61.8 really well. And if we were going to enter a trade, we can enter something like this where our stop is below the 78.6, so we don't get taken out of the trade. And then maybe we just want to take profit at the 23.6. So we've got a 1.62 RR trade. But if you're looking to shoot higher, then what we have to do is now we have to look for our extensions. So we got our pullback, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to say I don't want to. They changed up how they do this now. Where's this at? Okay. So I don't want to extend the line. So I want to keep this like nice and local right there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another Fibonacci tool, but this time I'm going to go from the swing high to the swing low. And then what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for my take profit target. So I got my 1618. So that's the most common take profit target, but I've also got the 1414 and the 1272, and then the 2.618 is right there. So with these three, hold on one second. Wait. Okay. So here's our extension targets. So we got the pullback. Okay. So now we got to forecast where are we going. So we go swing high to swing low, and that gives us our forecast extension targets. And there's also one more before the 2618. But so we got the 1272, and look what happened. Well, we got rejected and we fell back down, and we almost found support right on the previous resistance, which you can see it hit there. But the 1618, if we had entered on the 61.8 pullback, which was the 61.8 pullback here, and then let's say we set our take profit target at the 1618, well, we just had a solid 19.27% trade, and our risk was about 4% below that 78.6. Does that make sense? All right. So same thing, right? So we got this extension to the 1618. So it's like, okay, now where are we going to buy in this pullback? Well, if we take a look here, now we've got a really strong uptrend. So you can use trend lines, you can use all kinds of different tools. You can also use what I recommend using the most is use your Fibonacci levels in conjunction with key support and resistance levels. Okay, so this will show you. So when you look to the left of your chart, what you can see is you've got resistance, 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 resistance. We broke out. So now when we come back, are we going to reach this 61.8 when we've got all of this resistance that's going to act as a potential support resistance flip? Well, so for this tool, we might want to look a little bit higher. So maybe the 38.2, which could have been a good level here. Okay, so potentially we could have bounced there. Or are we going to look a little bit lower where we've got a lot more confluence as far as resistance? Well, so in between the 38.2 and the 50 fib, this could be a decent level to just ladder in your entry with a stop loss below the 61.8 because you've got a lot of tools right there. So that's a little bit how we can use confluence in that. So let's say we bought that 50% Fibonacci retracement. It did get front ran a little bit. It didn't quite reach it. If you use the top of the wicks, it looks a little bit better. It tagged it perfectly. But you don't know that when you're like in the middle of trading, right? So, okay, so now that we've gotten our pullback level, well, now we can use this extension tool to figure out where our take profit target is. So our take profit, again, Whoops, why is this doing this again? All right. So I'm going to highlight the 1618. I'm going to make that green. I'm going to make the 1272, and I'm going to make this yellow. Okay. And I'm reading the charts. I'm reading the chat, but hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Okay, so we got 300 people on. All right, so when we get this pullback, okay, so let's take a look at our extension targets. So here was our entry because this was our 50% fib, and even if we missed our entry a little bit, that's okay. And let's say we just set our stop loss below this key level right here, right? So we want it nice and far away. Let's say we waited for this reaction. We got this bullish candle, so we opened it on the next bullish candle. All right, cool. So let's go up here. So we can set our take profit targets at the 1272 as well as the 1618. Now we got a fake breakout beyond the 618 and then we dumped immediately. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with taking profits out of the market. Now, if you were leverage trading, that'd be different. If you're spot trading, same concept applies, right? So you buy Bitcoin, you sell Bitcoin higher, and then you buy it back lower. Sometimes you don't get that lower call. So we're gonna do this one more time, all right? So we got the pullback, we did the extension. So now, here was our last pullback level here. Here was our last pullback level here. So we go from the swing low, take it all the way up to the swing high. So we're looking for, remember, chart structure. So we want to look for maybe previous support, previous resistance. So something like this. So resistance, 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 we broke through. We can expect a pullback to the level. Now, remember what I said, the 61.8 is where Bitcoin loves to come back to. So we're going to use that as our red. Well, you guys can't probably see that very well. So we're going to highlight this in green. Okay. So remember, the 61.8 tool is where we pull back to, very, very common. So we got the swing low to the swing high, 61.8, bam, tagged it to the money. Okay, so we set our stop loss below the 786, below this candle here, and then our take profit targets are again our extensions. So where are our extensions? Well, let's do this again. Okay, so come down, we got the bounce back. So our targets are the 1272 and the 1.618. And again, we got those take profit targets. We got the 1618 take profit targets. And currently we're testing those exact same levels as it stands right now. And you can extend these out to get a little bit better of a view. So the 1618 was a very, very key level. We recently just retested that, and we're testing the 1414 right now. So kind of anybody's ball game. If we can break back and flip this 9800, then our next take profit target should be the 2618, which is also that extension target from all the way down here that we talked about, the 618 of the swing high to the swing low. So what are we thinking? Any questions on all that information that we just covered? I know I went over a bunch of different examples, but so that's how we would determine that in an uptrend. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to determine in a downtrend what we can do. So we had this really, really strong support, okay, and then there was some fundamental bad news that came into the market, and the market dumped. So now the question is, the market comes down, so then we're going to find a level to get short, okay? So come here. The 61.8 is showing up again, all right? But if we look at the daily, we'll probably see a little bit more confluence with some support resistance on maybe the hourly. Let's see. All right, let me go to the 4 hour. All right. So you can use this tool even on 15-minute charts, 30-minute charts, hourly charts, daily charts, weekly charts, all that stuff, okay? So the 61.8 would be our extension level, right? It didn't quite reach it. And sometimes what I will say a lot of times is you're not always going to reach your fib levels, all right? But let's say we took an entry after we saw this wick to the top side. We formed this potential reversal candle, kind of a little bit of indecision. We zoomed in on a lower time frame to find our entry. And so for just this chart's sake, let's say we took an entry here. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do that same kind of concept, except we're going to go from the swing low to the resistance level that we got rejected at, and we're going to look at the 1272 and the 1618 as our take profit levels, okay? So if we took a short at this level, we can look for the 1272, and we tagged it, basically couple dollars within 1%, and we never quite made it to the 1618. But once we came down here and once we formed a higher high, you can always exit the trade, or you can just use a trailing stop loss as we move. So let's say the market moves with us, and let's say you wanted to just ladder out. So you wanted to ladder out here, you wanted to ladder out here. But instead of laddering out as the market bounces and rejects, you can move up your stop loss to the last resistance level. So we came down, got rejected, come down. So then you can move your stop loss here. We hit the 1272, so you can take 50%, 75% of your profit. But then once the market moves back against you, you're stopped out of the trade, and so you lock in the profit from here all the way down to here. Hopefully that makes sense. Does the Fib Trends tool give you those extensions? So let me show you. So that's the way that I use Fib. That's the way that I've always used Fib. It may not be like classically accurate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw all the way from the swing high to the swing low, okay? And when we do this, what we can see is we came all the way back up to the 78.6. So if you were if you were going to short this level, and same thing, you can set your stop loss beyond the 78.6, you probably would have been okay. Or you can look at this, and this is what I would highly recommend, is look at this more like a zone, okay? So this is why I have the 65 level on a lot of my charts, is because this level is usually this forms what I call the golden zone. So the 61.8 and the 65 are usually really key levels to buy on a pullback and to short in an uptrend. But the 78.6 shows up a lot with Bitcoin as well. Now there's a couple different levels that I would highly recommend adding to your chart. The 1272 shows up everywhere, especially in crypto, especially in Forex. Very technical level. And then the 61.8, obviously. But the 88.6 is another level that shows up quite a bit. And then, 0.886. And then as well as the 0.706. Now, what I want to explain with this 0.706, this 07.06 level is what I call a front-running level. So when the 61.8 level breaks, most retail traders, they only use the 61.8 and the 78.6. But the middle of these two is the 70.6 level. And so a lot of times you'll see this level front run the 78.6. So again, like I said, this forms a zone, and this is not going to be a hard and fast rule all the time. But this 70.6 level, once you add it to your Fibonacci chart, you will see that this shows up quite a bit in both uptrends and downtrends. All right. So let's go through some charts, and we'll actually just do some real-time analysis using Fibonacci to give you guys some like real-time play. Okay, so let's take a look where our Bitcoin chart is at right now. Okay, so we had the macro uptrend, okay, and so we had this last pullback, we had this last pullback, and so what we can do is we can use this tool and see if we're pulling back to any of these key levels. We can also take this and pull it down here, which probably makes a little bit more sense. But right now, we're testing the 50% Fibonacci level, okay? And we're kind of holding that 38.2. This level makes sense to use from your Fibonacci, but the most important thing is it reactionary to your chart? That's the number one question that you want to ask all the time is it reactionary to my chart? So we've got a lot of really wicked price action going on right now. So basically we're getting, just massive volatility. The average true range is really high right now. But what we can see is that from the swing low to the swing high, we came down, we bounced off the 61.8 to the money, we came up, rejected at the 23.6, okay, and then we actually tapped the 147, but couldn't close above the 23.6. That's usually not a good sign. So that means we formed a lower high, okay? Then we dumped really hard. That was that gnarly candle all the way down to the 88.6. But we came up and we closed above both the 78.6 and the 61.8. So right now we're in a pullback, but the 61.8 level, if it closes strong on this weekly level, then this is usually bullish. Okay, so right now I am in a long. We're in a long from 94 to 9,500. We got long on this. Which wick was it? Yeah, this second wick right here. So 94 to 9,500. We're currently in a long. Our first take profit was around 9,700. Our second take profit target is around 9,800. And the reason why we have it at 9,800 is I don't like to set my take profit targets right at Fibonacci levels. And the reason why is those are strong resistance levels. And so I want to make sure that I can get filled and get out of the market. So instead of waiting for it to get to a resistance level, I just like to take profit out of the chart. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay. So this is what, so our entry level was 9,400 and 9,500. Okay. So our first take profit is 9,650. Second is 9,800. Then 10,000, 11,500. Okay. So those are all based on Fibonacci levels specifically as our levels to look at. So 10,200, well, we want to get out at 10,000, especially because of this resistance right here. So if we do break up out of this, then we could get rejected right here. Now this trade is actually really high risk because of all of these stop hunts going on in the market. So we're not using a hard and fast stop loss. We're using basically a candle close manual stop loss. So that's just using Fibonacci. So the question is, if this is our pullback level, where are our targets going to be? So you can use a few different levels, but what I would recommend is I would use this swing high to the swing low. And if this breaks up and it breaks beyond this 10,500 level, well, here's our extension targets, right? The 1618 is 11,300. The 1272 is at 10,900. And so that gives us an idea of where we can cut this trade, but only if that 10,500 breaks. Does that make sense? Holy shit, BTMX is flying off the handle. Yeah, it was forming a very similar pattern to, it's forming a really, really similar pattern to BNB. Well, that doesn't look like it's flying off the handle. We've got a nice uptrend, so let's use some Fibonacci here. All right, let me change the color of my trend line. We'll change that to white. We'll make this thin. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. So this could be a really good entry, right? So we've got our trend line here. Okay. So coming up on the trend line, we're forming kind of a consolidation potential triangle. But if we go from the swing high, the swing low to the swing high, we'll see if this lines up with our Fibonacci levels. And take a look at this. Well, it lines up perfectly with this 0.5 fib. We didn't actually tap that trend line, but so this could be a decent level to get long on this on BTMX. Okay, so and if this ends up being our low, then we can look at the swing high to the swing low and take a look at our extensions and see where we can get our profit. Well, 11 cents might be our 12 cents might be our swing high target to get out of this trade if we end up getting in down there. So that's how we use this extension and retracements. How we feeling? We've got 300 people watching, going through a whole bunch of charts. Jacob, do you offer one-on-one mentoring? I don't currently offer one-on-one mentoring. Satoshi Nakamoto is long from $0. And you guys are quiet. You guys are paying attention. You guys taking notes or something. 300 people and the chat is like as quiet as it gets. All right, so let's take a look at a few other charts. Let's take a look at like ETH USD. I like Ethereum. Its chart has been running really, really solid. Let's take a look at the weekly. And I'm going to use one on let's use Coinbase. Let's use Poloniex. I like as much data as possible because it's all about, history, fractal patterns, repeating, all that stuff, okay? So here was, let's take a look all the way back here, right? So this was kind of the first impulsive leg, what I would consider the first impulsive leg. So if we use this tool and then we change this to our template and we use, okay. Oops. Now, when you place your Fibonacci extension tool, one little helpful trick is to click lock, okay? And that will prevent you from grabbing it and dragging it all around, okay? All right, so remember those extension tools that we were talking about? The Canfield Fibonacci extension tools. So I'm going to pull these up and I'm going to add these to my chart. So we've got 29.034. Okay. And then we've got 46.979. And then we've got 76.013. Then we've got the 122.292. Boom. Okay. So a lot of times these Canfield Fibonacci extensions, they give us these high side targets, and we might be just a little bit off because this is a USD chart. This is not a USDT chart. Oops, I'm gonna unlock this. We can also use magnet mode, but try and get this as accurate as possible. Sometimes it's wick, sometimes it's body closings. But for the most part, we can see that the 2618, that was a really solid resistance level, consolidation level. And so that's like the smallest impulse possible, okay? And we can use this on Bitcoin. We can use this on a lot of different tools. But again, if we think that this is going to extend, we want to use the high side to the low side. And then we want to target, in this case, the 4.23 fib. This showed up everywhere in 2017. I think almost every single altcoin off this initial move, they all came up to the 423.6% level. So during massive parabolic moves, this 423 shows up in a lot of places off of this kind of consolidation extension leg right here. So you see, and this also formed a really classic ascending triangle pattern. And so there was a lot of volatility, right? So we came up and then a lot of volatility, but that extension came up to the 4.23. I mean, almost to a dollar. Yeah. And then you can use these extensions also as potential bounce plays. So we came down, we bounced off the 1618, we came up, rejected off the 2618. So really helpful in downtrends as well. But again, we're going to use this pullback tool. So we saw the swing high. And we saw the swing low. And so what we're looking for is where might we reject. So if we came all the way down to this 367 level, we can look at our chart structure. Well, we found support back here, right? So this is a really key level. And I remember we played this really well. This was early 2018 when all altcoins made a huge rally. And so in April, we bounced basically from 370 all the way back up to 800. But if we look at our chart structure and we see that we've got weekly resistance here, well, getting all the way up to the 61.8 where we find resistance here might be a little difficult. So this is one of those times where you can actually use the Fibonacci level to give you an idea of where we might pull back to, especially when you're using it in confluence with the weekly, okay? So let's take a look at our weekly now. Weekly looks really strong, basically just a little bit of consolidation. Typically Ethereum likes to run a little bit harder. It doesn't usually like to kind of pause like this. So we have to see where this candle closes. But what we can do is we can take a look at the daily and we can get an idea of where we're at just overall. So we take the swing high, okay? And then we take the swing low. I'm going to delete this old Fibonacci level. And what we can see is that Ethereum actually hit the 61.8% Fibonacci level. And we're currently holding the 50% Fibonacci level, which also lines up with a little bit of this chart resistance back here. Now, we've also got this 38.2 level, which correlates with a little bit stronger of a previous resistance, which can flip as support. So I would be a buyer any level if we can get to this 38.2 level around 222. So if this does end up breaking down, if we can't break back above and get to all-time highs, which I think Ethereum is probably one of the best looking charts just in general. But if it can't do that, then I would definitely be a buyer at this 216 level. This makes a lot of sense because we've got previous resistance. This should flip as support. We've got some support back here, but we also have the 38.2, as well as I'm sure if we throw up some moving averages, we can see that we've probably got, the 50 EMA coming up that would act right there, okay? Let me bring up YouTube one more time. Is there any chart you guys want me to take a look at using... Jacob, can you please do the Canfield Fibonacci on Tesla? Absolutely. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla. Let's take a look at the weekly. Now, Tesla's a weird chart just because it's basically gone up the whole time. So we'll see if this holds true with Tesla, because sometimes we have to use this little impulse back here like Microsoft, Amazon, some of those other tools. But we'll take a look and see how it does. So right now we are testing the 561.8. So far holding up pretty well. If you look, we tagged this 161.8% to the money. I mean, this is about as clean as it gets, right? So we had the swing high to the swing low, tagged it to the money, and I might be able to drag that down just a little bit. But what we can also see is that on the weekly, we also had some confluence of the 200 EMA and the 200 MA on the weekly chart. So that looked pretty damn good. Now, one of the plays that I posted on Twitter on Tesla was this pullback. So if you go from swing low, where was this at? This level, this pivot level. So the last retracement here. It was about as clean as it gets on the 78.6. And when we look at chart structure, we can also see that this was a very, very, very strong support level. And if we also use the TD sequential on the 3-day, you'll also see that this ended up flipping green. Okay, so right now we are testing the 561.8. That's where we got rejected, basically right at 901. Here down to here. Whoops. So if we go from this level, because this level probably makes a little bit more sense. My take profit level was actually at the 423. You can see my little hammer right here. This is where I thought we were going to get to, just because a lot of parabolic markets tend to move up to that. Tesla is in a parabolic rally. Do I think it'll reach this 1100 level? On the 4-hour, we're starting to double top, but we are holding the 21 EMA right now, and so I am bullish if we can break and close above, but I think the 423 is going to give us a little bit of a problem. But forecasting way out, I mean, this thing could run all the way up to 2,500. This 1109 shows up really, really frequently. All right. Holy shit. What are you holy shitting, Johnny? Okay. So let's go. What is the 61.5 level? Buy level. Okay. Hold on. So let's take a look at Link. We'll also do gold because gold's on a nice tear right now. All right. So Link, this has been classically charting with Fib really, really, really well. Okay, so let's go on the daily chart and let's take a look. I want the most data. I think the most data is on, is it Bittrex? No, it's on Binance. They just recently listed Link. Okay. I think Binance has the most chart data. Okay, so off of this initial impulse, okay, so we had the move down, the impulse up. So let's go from the swing low to the swing high. And what we found is that it comes right down to this 78.6 level. Not super clean. This level looks a little sketchy to me. So if we come down here, that level probably makes a little bit more sense. So the 78.6 tagged it really nicely. But you can see we came down to the 61.8, and if we put on our, if we put on the 65, like I was saying, then it gave us this nice little buy zone right here. It actually tagged it once, came down, tagged it again, came down one more time, tagged it again. So it tagged it a couple times, but what you can also see is that in the downtrend, it rejected off the 23.6. It rejected off the 38.2. And so we know that this chart is really clean, right? So we know that it's reacting to these Fibonacci levels. So then what we can do is we can take from the high side. I'm going to use this wick. And sometimes the first wick is better if it's a FOMO candle. So we can look at the 161.8 as our take profit level, and it tagged it perfectly, right? So once it broke this all-time high, this was probably the 1272. Sorry. There we go. So it tagged the 1272, came back down, tested the 1. So that's a really common thing that these patterns will show out. So it comes up, tags the 1272 extension, comes down, you can rebuy previous resistance, and then it comes up, tags the 161.8. And those are really, really classic patterns that play out over and over and over. So again, this is our next retracement pullback. So we can use this, and probably got the 61.8 or the 78.6. 78.6 again. Okay, and I'm just doing a bunch of examples so you guys can get an idea of how you use these. And then we come down, and then we got the 1272 and massive rejection, came down, and then it came back up, and then it broke and pushed all the way up. So all right, so let's see some extensions off this last leg. That looks like the 1272, but I won't know until we do it. And it was. So if we go from the swing high to the swing low, we came up and we tagged the 1272 to the money. So this would have been a great take profit level. Let me draw an arrow better. So great take profit level, but also a potential level to get short. So now what we can see is we've got this level right here. So it makes sense that we would probably come back and test this level. We may bounce here, but most likely we'll probably test this level just because that was the previous resistance. So I'd be looking for something like that, where then we bounce and then come up and test the 1618. All right, Tesla equals lit. What's up with drawing fibs on TradingView giving different levels if you use log or arithmetic scales? So I've been kind of experimenting with log, and I am personally, I would recommend just using linear personally, because the math is absolutely 100% correct. I did the math on the logarithmic, and I just don't think that they're accurate if you use fibs based on log. So what you do is you go in, you click on settings, and then you click fib-based levels on log scale. But what we can see is that just a few things don't line up. I've been using them, experimenting with them, but for me, if you use it linear, it's going to be much, much better. Okay, so yeah, so I think that Link will probably pull back to around here, and we can look for some other confluence. We can look for some support resistance. Right now, we've got just a little bit of support right there. It's possible that we come all the way back down to the breakout point, kind of right there, and so that could be, that could be a level as well. And again, this isn't certainties. This isn't, there's nothing magic about it. It's just you use it in conjunction with other things. All right, so let's do the S&P 500. Yeah. So this is a good one. So let me show you the weekly chart. Okay, so remember this Canfield Fibonacci extension. What we want to do is we want to find the very first impulse, and we want to go swing high to swing low, and then we want to see kind of how this reacted. All right, so let me see if this one. Okay, so we hit the 68.5. 17.94 gave us a little bit of a correction there. Let me see. I think that one might be off a little bit. I think we might have to use futures or something. Might be too recent. I know there's a very specific level on the S&P that works really, really. Okay, here we go. Let me check. Might be on the futures chart. I mean, this is just, these are Canfield Fibonacci extensions. You can apply them to different markets. I'll show you Bitcoin actually. Bitcoin's actually really cool to look at. So Bitcoin, you want to use the BLX chart. That's the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. It has the most price history of any of the charts. if we use this original impulse here, and we'll do this for gold too. But what we can see is this 29.03 level shows up in a lot of different places. So we can use this initial impulse level right there, okay? Or we can use this level here, which was the Mount Gox sell-off point. We can use, I mean, there's all kinds of different levels and tools we can use. We can use this lower one for the wicks, but let's take a look and see how this did too. So there's lots of different ways you can apply that. But so this impulse, we hit that 4.23 fib to the money. Now this is long-term forecasting. For most of you guys are day traders. Most of you guys are margin traders. Oh, whoops. So that was the initial impulse. So 4.23 to the money. We came back down, retested back up here, came up, rejected at the 5.618, came down, tested the 4.23, and then all the way up to, and this is 76.03. So that's just one way you can use it. Lots of other ways you can use it. So this is like the most accurate chart I've ever seen on Bitcoin personally, and so this is what I use for my long-term forecasting, because somebody asked me like, where's the next top on Bitcoin? So this is where I think it's going to hit. So if you use Bitfinex, this is like wildly accurate to the money. But what we could see is if we use this impulse, so basically the $1,000 point where it dropped all the way down to 150 bucks, came up 2618 down to the 1618, very, very beautifully. Then we hit the 423, came back down, retested the 261.8. But what shows up really, really well is this 17.94 level. Okay. That shows up on gold, that showed up on Tilray, that showed up on Amazon. That level is really, really important. So then take a look at the rest of the Canfield Fibonacci extension levels. So we came up, came down, and we tested the 1109. Okay, we came down, we tested the 68.5.4. So potentially our next support could be this 86.1 level, just in general. But these are all just kind of, it's all mathematical probabilities that we hit these levels. And so really, really interesting stuff. Play around with it. Take a look at it. I'm going to do a few other charts here. Longtime fan, please review Matic. Use the 702 and you'll thank me later. Yeah, 702, 706. Those are also good. Jacob, commenting on the weekly chart. Use the stock. Yeah. What's up with the drive? Okay. So I'll take a look at Uber. Uber's an interesting one. I talked about Uber on my last video. I saw this descending broad wedge, entered, damn near nailed the bottom, and I basically closed out my trade around, I think, 31 on that candle right there. I thought we were going to pull back. We did, but it was kind of a fake breakout to the downside. So let's take a look at our Fibonacci tool here. Okay, so we came up. We're testing, we tested we broke through the 61.8. We tested it now. So the 78.6, this level may be a decent place to take a short because it was a previous resistance level like that. But if it does break, then what we can do is we can use swing high to swing low to get our extensions. So I'm mostly focusing on, oops, I think I just did it twice. So I'm mostly focusing on using Fibonacci on this webinar, just so you guys get really, really good examples. But so yeah, so this looks like a pretty decent short level, maybe the 78.6, between the 78.6 and 88.6. We could probably find some puts for the money. But again, we've got the 1272 and the 1618. So long-term time frame, if we do break above the $60 mark, will probably be the level to cut some profit. And then we'll probably see something that looks like this, and we can always come back and check this chart at a later date. So 52.89, come down, retest here, and then we push up, something like that. Okay. Is it useful to apply fibs to the time scale? I'm not good at Fibonacci time analysis. I'm really new to this, and I feel like I am in the Michael Douglas movie, falling down, trying to follow along with all of these numbers. Ha 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 ha. I appreciate this video. I know it will sink in soon. Watch it a bunch of times, and the most important thing to do is just get practice with it. Okay? I know I'm going through a lot of charts, a lot of different Fibonacci things, but man, this is where you kind of see the power of Fibonacci, because you get to look at it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so did Uber. Let's take a look at where are you trading things like Uber? You can trade them on TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab. You can trade them on Robinhood. All right, let's take a look at Matic. Matic was one of my best trades this year. All right, so BTC and USD are always going to be different. So what we can see on Matic is we've got a long-term trend line, okay? And this red line correlates with basically the 200 moving average on the daily. Bounced really strong. Looks like it's pushing up on the weekly. So what we can do is, let's take a look at our 4-hour chart. And whoops. Now, I don't know if we can apply fib on this little tiny thing here, but let's take a look. Well, the 1109 nailed it damn near to the dollar. So this looks pretty darn good to be able to use. So this went really, really hard, okay? But just off this little extension tool, we can see that we did get that 1618, really, really nice test. So we hit it, came down, came up. And what it does is it keeps you calm as a swing trader. Because it's mathematics. You know you're probably going to get to that 261.8 or that 161.8. So let's say you determine that this is like a falling wedge structure, right? So you break out and you buy the pullback. And so it's like, all right, where am I going to take some profits? Well, I believe that this is a strong chart. I think this is going to go for a run, So instead of cutting your profits real early, like at the 61.8, and you're more than welcome to do that, because that in and of itself is a beautiful trade. Well, this can keep you calm, and you can see that we came up and you wait for that rejection, but we got the rejection. So, good level to take profit. Good level to take profit. There's nothing wrong with locking profits in a market, right? And obviously you see that it comes up, and goes on a massive run. But again, the Canfield Fibonacci extension does show up pretty damn well. We got the 1109, came down, 86.18, boom, rejected off, came down, almost bounced off that 423. So really, really cool to use. Really, really cool tool to use. Okay, so now let's go down here. Same exact concept. We can see that we come up, almost get to that 61.8 level, but on a 4-hour, we can't even close above the 50% level. And again, if we look at chart structure, we can see that this was our resistance. So a decent place to take out, some profits or a short or something like that. How much a professional trade averages a year? Every trader is different, man, and everybody looks for different take profits, and it really depends on your skill, and it depends on the market conditions, what market you're trading. Right now, the stock market is just like constant, uptrend. Let me just grab some stuff. All right, cool. So, oops, mute that. All right, cool. All right, so any questions on any of that stuff, guys? I don't use fib circles, but I do know a lot of people that use them. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Because this was like one of my best trades this year. I bought on our trend line. I basically bought like one. No, actually, I bought this. I bought this little pennant right here. Consolidation. Tapped the trend line. Basically bought it around 130, 135. Held this trade. We got the 561.8, but let's take a look. Actually, basically double topped. Fuck, that was so obvious. We dumped the exact same way too. I mean, we didn't dump that hard, but we definitely hit a double top on this level. So this was an obvious level to take some profits out in the market. And sometimes those levels are really, really obvious, but this is, this is technical analysis. If you take a look at XRP USD, whoops, actually, yeah. I think it was XRP ETH, maybe? Let's take a look at XRP Ethereum. Yeah, so when you look at different pairs, sometimes you'll get different information. But this was in 2018, I can actually divulge one of my biggest edges from 2018. 2018 during the bear market, I traded really, really well. But mostly because I was only looking at Ethereum pairs. It was actually what I call the bull market for Ethereum. I've never actually talked about this on stream. I haven't really even mentioned it, but there's been different cycles where the market goes through, parabolic moves on Bitcoin, parabolic moves on Ethereum pairs, parabolic moves on Binance pairs. And so if you can learn to recognize and understand the base pair and to look for assets that trend against it, you can make, Ethereum basically was in a massive downtrend, but you could accumulate significant amounts of Ethereum in almost any altcoin in 2018. But if you look at XRP BTC in 2018, it looks like absolute shit. You can see we had this little bit of a move right here, 100% off, but for the most part, it doesn't look near as good as XRP Ethereum. XRP Ethereum, had almost a 290%, 300% move off the level. Okay, so I don't even remember what the fuck I was talking about. All right, could you please look at silver or gold now? Active the J-Trade AMD. Can you apply this to Friday's 2-minute chart? 2-minute chart. This guy's an intraday AMD trader. All right, man. So, okay, well, chart structure, we've got some support. Okay, but that was a nasty sell-off. That looks like a pretty nasty bearish engulfing. So we'll just do a quick little analysis here. All right, so we've got this trend line. Looks good. Let's take a look at our moving averages. I'm looking at it on the daily. Okay, so we got the 50 EMA hanging out right here. So this level probably looks like the most likely level, 49.08. If this level breaks, right, because we do have the 21 EMA still, but this level has the most confluence. We've got the trend line, we've got the 50 EMA, we got some shit going for it, right? So let's take a look at our Fibonacci levels. So we got the rejection here, bounce back. Let's take a look at our extension tool. Came up, hit the 1618, came up, hit the 1272. Really, really nice. Came down, bounced. You can see where it bounced. It actually bounced right off the 200 EMA on the daily. Money trade, and then it came up, hit the 1618. High side target is the 2618. We're pulling back now, so that would be my final take profit level at the 64.22. And that's how I'd use Fibonacci to kind of look through this whole chart. We have not been back to retest this level at all yet. So, that could be a decent level if it sells off hard. Equities are selling off. There's some coronavirus scare, supply issues out of China, a lot of other things going on. But that's a level that I would probably be the most comfortable, just because this 21 EMA doesn't really help. All right, can you please look at silver or gold? Yeah, man. Let's take a look. All right, silver looking clean, man. Looking real clean. I got in right, $17 right on that 200 EMA. Looking real clean. Loving silver. If you guys watch my last silver video, we had this falling wedge structure. Looking good, holding the 100 MA. But let's take a look at our Fibonacci tool. All right, so let's take a look. You gotta, shit like this, you gotta look long time frames out. All right, so let's do this leg first. This looks like the most important leg. Let's see how we did. So we hit the 261.8 extension. That looks pretty good. Came down, tested the 1618, got a bounce. Really nice bounce. But again, when a moving average acts as dynamic support, you can see here the 50 EMA of support, bounced up, and then it was basically riding it all the way up. When it breaks down, those same dynamic supports then become dynamic resistance. So we see we got a lot of confluence right here. We had the 50 EMA, so we broke the 50 EMA, bounced off the 100, came up, nice short level, came back down, tested it again, came up, tested it again. So I love these EMAs and MAs in conjunction with my Fibonacci. It's one of my favorite strategies, especially as a swing trader, and you can apply these to day trading. So silver right now looks like we're basically forming a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders, right? I don't take too stock in those types of patterns, but it looks really strong. We are testing the oh, that's interesting. Take a look at that. Same level. Okay. So this level is going to be very important. Mathematically showing up a lot. Resistance. So that level, when that level flips, that's probably, and look at this. I'm going to highlight this for you guys. So this is a lot of confluence. We can see a lot of confluence going on. So I'm going to make this yellow. I'm going to make that really thick. So this is my 500 EMA on the daily chart. And that is right at that same key level. Look at that. So this level, 21.43, that's going to be a bitch to break. Okay. But that's the level that it's looking like it wants to test because it's above everything else right now. Found support here. And the 21.4 looks like the level to break. And you can see that 500 EMA, what did it do back here? Boom. Boom. Okay. So I imagine that we're probably going to do something like that. All right. Does work, LOL. I'm looking at the cascade down, hitting fib extensions. Yeah, man. Fibonacci works really, really well. It's my favorite tool, applicable to Forex, applicable to crypto, applicable to stocks, all kinds of stuff, commodities. All right, so we had the double bottom on silver, came up, and you can see same, we got a lot of, even more confluence, right? So now we've got the 23.6 level, kind of same place, 22.279. So that's going to be a really tough level to break. That's, you know, that's kind of what it is. All right, so let's take a look at Raven. Raven kind of dumping on the weekly right now, pulling back. Raven, use the Bittrex chart for Raven. It's got a lot more data. If you guys saw my very first CNBC interview I did on CNBC, they said, what is one, whoops, let me show you. I could probably find it. It was a while ago. They said, what is one chart that we need to watch out for? And this was Raven right here. And I said, Raven is a chart that I think is going to outperform the market in 2019, mostly because of the fundamental analysis behind Tezos. They are going to be the sole protocol that Tezos uses, or T0 uses for security tokens. And that little FA catalyst was, set it off pretty nicely. But okay, so we go from the top side wick to the bottom side, and we hit that 1618 extension on Raven. Really, really, really nice over delivery, 400% move. And then you can use the same concept. So you go from the swing low back to the all-time high. And in this case, we just basically came all the way back down to zero, right? But you can use the same concept. So you got the swing high to the swing low. And again, we saw the 4.23 extension right here on the initial impulse back down here. But so Raven, this looks mostly, if we look at the daily chart, I know I was looking at the weekly. This looks, what I like to do on Raven is I like to buy sub 300 sats, and then I like to sell it around 400. So I've done that a few times. Lately, it's been working pretty well. It's mostly in a range. And the biggest thing is the 200 period, 200 EMA. Has held this back a whole bunch of times, and it just can't seem to get much momentum above it right now. But once it cracks and once it breaks, then usually it likes to run pretty damn hard. And you can see how important that 200 period moving average is. All right, so let's take a look at our Fibonacci levels down here. So we got our impulse. We rejected off that little moving average right there. So let's go here. And we're at the 78.6 level now. So this could be a decent place to enter, but we're below all of our key moving averages too. So a bit more high risk for sure. No doubt about it. Shitcoins are, Raven is good as the fundamental analysis is. It still is just a shitcoin because it's got a really low market cap. It's sub 400 Satoshis. So this thing can get moved around pretty easily by whales. Don't you think it's pretty cool that Bitcoin halving will be on the biggest supermoon full moon in May? I did not know that, G-Flight, but that is pretty fucking cool. Thanks, bro, for picking up my comment from Lavish. Rip Mad Mike. I don't know who Mad Mike is. Hey, Jacob, can you do the work Slack chart? Been pretty bullish lately leading up to earnings. Work. All right, let's take a look. All right, so this looks like just a nonstop downtrend for a while. But then we had a really strong accumulation zone, bit of a double bottom, and we can see we rejected at that 38.2 really nicely. And so what we know is that we've got a good clean chart. So high side take profits. We've got pretty strong resistance at this Fibonacci level there, the 50%. But what I would say is 33 to 34. I would say that's where I'd cut my trade in the market. But again, you don't necessarily have to cut the trade. You can always just trail your stops up. But that's a pretty strong resistance level that it hit from before. So that's what I'd be looking for. I mean, it's definitely got some momentum going on for it, and it's above most of those key moving averages. Jacob, is there any book you recommend on the Fibonacci trading? I have no idea. I've never read a book on Fibonacci. All of it's been self-taught. Any ETH charts, man? You rock. I already did this one, but what I said was, we hit 366 back here, came down, tested the 61.8 level, got rejected. Currently holding the 10 EMA on the daily, and so this is really still pretty strong bullish, but it's possible that we tap this 240. The thing to watch for is a potential pullback to the 38.2 level. But that'll happen if Bitcoin decides to fuck around, and do something like that. All right, I'm just reading chat and going through everything. I'll probably cut the chat in 30 minutes. All right, okay. So let me see. Can we have a look at VeChain? Yeah. All right, so I know I've been looking at a lot of BTC charts. What is this? What am I on? Binance. All right, so this is a good lesson here. So all right, so we came down, we came up. Let me see. Let's see if this does any better. Yeah. So all-time high listing price came down, came up, basically made it to the 23.6, but then rejected super hard. So if we were going to take if we were going to try and figure out which price it was going to go to, we'd want to look at the 1618 or the 1272, and it came down to the 1618 and continued to move down. All right, let's take a look. Jacob, man, my head exploded after all this inflow in an excellent way. I can't wait to test this new tool with my next trade setups. Hi, Jacob. Can you explain the significance behind key moving average crossovers when they happen close? I actually don't look at crossovers ever. Jacob, I saw you first when your interview with a guy who had a puff on Cointelegraph. That guy was very arrogant. Sorry, I forgot his name. That's when I liked you. That was Crown, and I think he's got a reason to be arrogant. He's a badass trader. He came from he was a market maker on the energy market. Really, really bright guy. One of the brightest options traders out there. I really, really dig what he does. Can you do the Canfield God extensions on gold? Yeah. All right, so we'll just use the Owanda chart. We're going to look at the weekly. All right, so let's take a look at this initial impulse and see how this reacts to this. Oops. I think this might be the chart. Is it the gold futures chart? I'm trying to remember which one I did. Yeah, it's gold futures. Gold futures has a lot more crazy ass history. Right. Yeah, this goes out to 1975. So let's figure out. So off this initial impulse, what we can see is that gold perfectly tagged our 261.8, came down, found support on the 127 extension. So as far as Canfield Fibonacci, I'm just using the gold futures chart because it makes a little bit more sense. As far as like the raw data, I'm going to use the monthly actually, just so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. And I'm going to get rid of all these moving averages. So the 261.8 was the money level, and then we formed basically this ascending triangle that I mentioned last year. on gold where we were getting these higher lows, higher lows. If we zoom into the daily, we'll see like the 200-day moving average, 200 EMA. Lots of cool stuff that we can find on that. But yeah, so we hit the 261 at 127, and now we're kind of breaking out 1648. And so the question now is, and so that's the extensions, but this was a pretty obvious move just off of like here. You can see we came down, we tested that 50% Fibonacci level really, really nicely. Even if you wanted to use this down like here, you know, back on previous resistance, this was pretty nice as well because it hit that 61.8 level there, right? And then you can see we came up, tested that 38.2. So it's worked out on a variety of things. So if this can break out of this 1922 level, right? So we hit 61.8, we rejected, and now we're breaking through. So there's a couple of key levels, but this level right here was probably the most key that it had to break through. Okay, so that's kind of like the same level on Uber breakdown. So what I would be targeting is this 1272 level, so 2150, 2178, and then the 161.8, which is around 2500. That was my target all through last year. Let me see if I can find my target here. USD, gold. Okay, so let me see if I can find this gold. That's what it was. Okay, so let me use this one real quick. So this was all the way back to here. Now, if we use the extension off of this little impulse from swing high to swing low, this is where you'll see that same level that Bitcoin hit, 17.94. Then it came down, held this 1109 level, and now it's pushing back up to the 17.94. So then what we want to look for is confluence. So then the next level is the 2903, and that's around 2736. And so what we want to look for is a confluence with the Canfield Fibonacci extensions as well as the regular extensions. Okay, so this 2903 doesn't really line up with anything too much up there, but I would say between 2500 and 2900 would be my targets on gold. Crown is not arrogant. He's quite humble, actually, but he does not care for political correctness bullshit. Yeah, same. I wish there was more people like you instead of the shitty crypto YouTubers who just copy off each other's content, trying to make themselves look smart and trying to influence buyers and sellers. Well, you know, there's different types of people on YouTube, right? So there's news people. So Crypto Zombie, I would call him more of like a news guy. I like watching Crypto Zombie's channel just because he looks like he's always looking for all the news stories. So it's a really, I'll throw it on 2X in the morning, and he'll hit me with all the, and it's free, it's free content. Can you use Fib extensions on Amazon? Yeah, Amazon was one of my best shorts in 2018 using this Canfield Fibonacci extension. So let me show you how I used this tool here. So see, we hit that same level that gold did, this 17.94. So this is actually where I shorted it last year using some put options, and I'll show you the target. So Amazon long-term Fibonacci chart again. So 17.944. We use that same same first leg, nailed it to the money 1915. Okay, and then we had on a weekly time frame we had what I call a swing high. Bearish divergence on Amazon. So this was actually posted. I shorted Apple and Amazon together in 2018 in the beginning there. So I shorted Apple right around like 229. We had that same sort of weekly bearish divergence. But Apple from a high time frame Fibonacci level, it hit that 46.979 Canfield Fibonacci. So this is how I used it to open up a long-term swing trade. But take a look at what happened once we hit that 17.94 level. We had that weekly divergence. So we had a 36% sell-off. And then what I was looking for is basically to getting back in my trend lines like this, right? So then I was looking for, okay, where's my take profit target? We just use these trend lines as well as our Fibonacci tool to be able to determine the pullback. But so that's where my Canfield Fibonacci extension actually helped me on Amazon. And so if it breaks through here, our next take profit target is 32.15 at the 29.03. And it's definitely possible that it can run all the way up there if it can hold this level. Okay, and we can use a few other tools to do that, but I'll show you Apple as well with that same tool. So you see the 232 level, you know, right there, the 228, 232, same concept, right? So massive rejection off of that Canfield Fibonacci level, the 49.06, and I'll show you where it's going right now. So let me draw the tool. I think it's off this first leg. Let me make sure. Yeah, so the Apple was off that very first leg from 450 down there. And so with this, what you can actually use, you can use a little bit of a different tool, because I'm showing linear, but so right here, let's bring this up. And I'm gonna drink some water in just a second. All right, so this chart right here, and go down the tick. So you can see you get the 1272. Came up, almost tagged the 261.8, came down, found support on the 161.8. So these extensions are really helpful. Came up, hit the 1109, 1794, 2903. Look at the rejection off that 2903. Like, man, that's just like, it's just insane how accurate these mathematical formulas work. But then we came up and we hit that 46.97, rejected a hard off it. And so, you know, what I'm looking for is a 76.03. Let me make sure that that's right. Let me make sure that that's, yeah, that should be right. This looks a little bit different though. Oh, I used the candle body close. That's why. Okay. Let me take a look. I think I used a weekly candle body close. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. 261.8. Support right on the 261.8. There we go, 60.85, 11.09. Yeah, that makes more sense. All right, what else are we looking at? Body's back. Okay, so let's take a look at just low time frame Apple right now. So if we use our extension off of here, so swing high to swing low, we already hit the 161.8, so our 261.8 is right around 381. So this would be our take profit levels on Apple, just using our Fibonacci extension tool. And then again, where can we buy into this? Well, if we use our trend line tool, we draw our spot up, we hit the 61.8, and you know, really nice Fibonacci pullback, a little bit of support down here, and then we got our extension tools right around 380 for that. Man, the same troll. Yeah, man, I appreciate you doing that, Edward. Appreciate that, man. Okay, so let's take a look at XTZ. And then I'm gonna do a few more charts, and then I'm gonna go, because it's been like 2 hours, and I'm just doing about 1 billion Fibonacci levels, man. Yeah, Amazon's just one of those ones where you can use like fucking forever, man. All right. So Tezos, let's take a look and see how this did with our extension tool. So this is just the initial push. Oops. So the 1109 is actually right around 44.78, and then the 17.94 is all the way up here. So, but it is an altcoin. So these altcoins are a little less reliable, but let's take a look and see if this hit the 423 off of this move here. All right. So it is reliable to the altcoin analysis, because what we can see is off this initial impulse, just like Ethereum, we came up, tagged that 423 level, okay? But then it broke out and pushed even more off of that. So it did the exact same thing that Ethereum did, and the chart looks really similar. So swing low to swing high. If we use our little golden retracement zone, we've also got the 61.8 and the 65. Again, looking at chart structure, come over here, boom, nice strong resistance, beautiful support. That would be a beautiful place to enter in. All right, cool. So then we've got that. That was the 423 there. Now we've got a new extension target, because we just bought in on the 61.8. Come down here, and we're not using any other tools, right? So we've got a few different levels. Let me drag it. Yeah, sometimes you want to use a second. Sometimes you want to use body closings. It really depends on the market. But if we use body closing, we tag the 261.8, you know, almost to the exact T. So then where can we pull back to? Well, it's probable that we pull back to the 161.8. So we might have topped off a little bit in the market. I know we're on the daily trend. So it's possible that we kind of come up, reject, and then come down here, and then maybe bounce up for a double top, something like that. Okay, Lisk. Any specific questions, guys? I mean, we've got 300 people watching. You know what's crazy? If you think about that, that's like an entire gymnasium in high school, right? Imagine, you know, going back to high school. Thanks, I'm going to go back and watch the whole video. Thanks for all you do. Great TA. Yeah, no problem, man. Okay, so I love your trading view charts. Yeah, man, appreciate that. So this actually looks pretty damn good. So I just dropped the link. If you guys want to grab the presentation slides that I did, I just want to make sure you guys can get that. All right, so let's go from the swing low to the swing high. And look where we're at, boys and girls. Previous support. This looks pretty damn good. All right, and also if we come all the way out here, let's take a look and see what else we got. Okay, so we wicked up to here. That's the part about zooming out, right? Because we're on a very, very local time frame. But if we look at here, we have to go to the log just to even get our tool here. So if we go to the all-time high, to the all-time low, well, we just basically pulled back to the 23.6, right? On the logarithmic scale. On the linear scale, we're still fucking so far away. So if we, I mean, even if we were going to get up there, I mean, that's a 570% move. Man, this market, holy shit. So parabolic. But we've got a few resistance levels that we really have to break, like just this one in and of itself. We didn't break it back there. Really, really important. And so, you know, you want to use like, you know, more recent local levels for this Fibonacci stuff. But so this, you know, the pullback here would be, you know, we hit the 50%. This level right here is a 61.8, but up top here, this level right there would be the 61.8 from that. So if we do break up and we move up, I mean, that's a nice 100% move just to get back to that 61.8 of this really tiny, tiny local level. But the weekly, I mean, you could see how far Lisk fell. All right, guys. Amanda Kahu, it's not a hack, really. You have to have the line. Okay. Cool. Anything else you guys want me to cover before I hop off? Man, I appreciate you guys watching. We've got 170 likes. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to flip on my little thing. There was a delay in the audio for some reason, so I apologize for that. But hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. I tried to go over as many charts as possible. So what did you guys think? What did you guys think of the Fibonacci webinar? Do you guys want me to do more of these? Bitcoin about to lift off. I could take a look at Bitcoin one more time before I go. Dude, you're so generous with your knowledge and tools. I don't know any traders who give away their edge for free. I didn't start making money till I found you. Thank you so much. Man, I appreciate that, dude. That's, I mean, that's all it means, you know. I love to hear that. Obviously, you know, I do have a trading community, but I don't promote it very often. It's all mostly organic traffic. For me, it's just, you know, I want to try and give as much value to you guys as I can. And, you know, in return, maybe you buy my course, maybe you do some other stuff, you know, but there's zero obligation, right? This is all free. Even my free Telegram channel, all that stuff, is just, you know, I want to see you guys succeed. Thanks for the presentation. Very informative. Great. More. Awesome. All right. So let me jump back onto this here. All right. So XBT USD. Yeah, baby. Let's go. 97.51. Wait. No. Yeah. Wait. Are we at 97.51? Yeah. Let's go. We're the long, baby. We're in a nice long. We're in like a $400,000 long right now. All right. All right. I'll take that. Yeah, boy. Okay, let's see that short squeeze. I think 10,000 looks pretty fucking good, boys. Let's go. Oh yeah. Look at my feed, guys. This is my feed. I want to show you my feed, right? So this, I said just do it already, right? So once we broke the 21 EMA, short squeeze imminent, buckle up, right? Every time Peter Schiff tweets, it's always a bottom signal, right? We rise like a phoenix. Longs filled on that wick. We either soar to the heavens or we go to Valhalla as heroes. Right. So I was pretty bullish. Yeah. If you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Because I am funny on Twitter. I like being on Twitter. All right, so we're getting our short squeeze, looking fucking good. I love it. Coming up against some resistance here. We really need to break that. But if we break that, I think we moon up pretty nicely here. 50% fib, 61.8 is around the 99.27 level, but that 78.6 level, that would be my high side target. That makes probably the most sense. And we are squeezing right now. Man, I don't even know how much money I'm up right now. What's 3% of 400 grand? 12,000. That's pretty good. Yeah. So not bad. Yeah, that's good. That's kind of what I was waiting for. It's been fucking boring. All right, let me take a look at some other pairs. Now that I'm awake. Had that nice daily closing. Aeon looks beautiful. That's been pushing hard. All right, let's take a look at BitMEX. All right, LTC pushing hard. Well, no, but the BTC pairs aren't really moving yet. So definite lag going on the BTC pairs. That's moving up really nicely. Ethereum, we were just talking about Ethereum. It's kind of lagging, but it did break out of this structure here. So potentially pretty decent move coming out of Ethereum here. Yeah, I know a lot of people were shorting. Not me. No chance in hell, mate. All right, so got a couple different key levels here on Ethereum. LTC moving. Yeah, LTC's been in a freaking freight train, man. It's been crushing. ADA, not really doing much. TRX, kind of moving. 210, kind of in a consolidation a little bit. A lot of resistance behind it. EOS was one we were watching. We got wicked out of EOS kind of annoyingly. This is forming a descending broad wedge though. So I actually kind of like this because if this breaks out, this thing will probably, do a 20% move back up to 51.50. That's my target. I love these fucking descending broad wedges. These descending broad wedges, I don't know of any other pattern that's made me more money than a descending broad wedge. They just show up everywhere in the market. And this is consolidating right at resistance. So once we break this, I think it'll probably just, move pretty hard. ETH is looking good. Short squeeze, then dump. Maybe. Looks pretty fucking strong to me, man. I think this level is probably the key level to break. But yeah, I mean, that's a strong ass candle. I mean, this took out so many people. We bought in on these wicks, and we did not raise up our stop losses because they were fucking hunting. Got on late. We'll go back and study your analysis. Is always great info. Appreciated. I think ETH is going to take off with all the DeFi locking up liquidity for sure. Hey Jacob, people who have $1,000 portfolio and want to join your margin signal profit and want to trade with you, how can they do that? Can you do something for them? I don't have a lower tier service right now. It's a little bit more of a premium, and mostly because I want to maintain the level of people that are in the group. Like getting like 1 billion people in is not my concern. I want to just like find people that are really, really dedicated to learning how to trade. Low volume pump on the weekend with scam volume is not legit. Well, Saturday pumps are a pretty commonplace thing, but you know, we've got a lot of technicals lining up. I mean, I can go through and show you why I'm fairly bullish just in general, if you want, Ricky. So hold on, let me show you real quick. Okay, so we've got we found support directly on our trend line, like, I mean, to the money. Okay, so right on our trend line, tagged it, beautiful, right? So boom, 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 tagged it right on our trend line, right? So we also have a very, 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 very fucking key level at 9,500 right there, right? So this 9,500 level is about as key as it gets. Bam, 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 rejection, rejection, okay? Rejection, support. So that's a pretty fucking key level, right? So it makes sense that, you know, this will act as an SR flip. It makes sense that this will act as an SR flip. It makes sense that this will act as an SR flip, right? So I just kind of follow the probabilities. Probability is that we continue to head higher. So personally, we look at our moving averages, and we look at our 4-hour moving average, and we are holding the 200 EMA and the 200 MA. So looks pretty damn good, right? We were getting held back by this, you know, 21 period 4-hour, but then we finally broke it. So I like the way that looks personally, and so that's why I was bullish on Bitcoin. That's why I wanted to get long down here. Bitcoin moving YOLO, yeah, 97.65 looks good. Jacob, what leverage do you use? Don't ask me that question. Go back, watch my risk management video, okay? Because I explain why leverage is irrelevant. I'm not going to explain it now because I just went through like 2 hours of content, but go back, watch that video for me, all right? All right, so let's take a look. What leverage do you use? Yeah, go back and watch. Will you make a video about moving averages too? Yeah, maybe. I mean, go back and watch my trend trading, man. Fuck, if you run a trend line from all-time high to now weekly, what is that telling you about Bitcoin long term? Yeah, so that's my high side target, right? So that correlates with some Fibonacci levels as well as some other stuff. So what he's talking about is this level here. I think this is the level that everyone needs to watch. This is probably the most important level, right? So this is, we're basically just consolidating in between these ranges, right? So we got the low, kind of down here, something like that, right? So this is the most important levels to watch. So if we use this trend line, you know, that gives us like a little bit of a different accuracy, but we can also use this one down lower. Okay, so this level up here is the level to watch. Oops, let me bring this back in. All right, so really nice wick right there. Man, if we can close above 99.30, man, fuck, that's so bullish. But possible we get rejected, guys. So, you know, I'm just playing it level by level by level, not getting super excited. You know, ooh, we're at 9,800. We're about to flip this bitch. Let's go. Hourly 200 EMA, where we rejected once, twice, 3 times. We're testing that right now. So this could be a little bit of a challenge. A little bit of a challenge. Nope, no challenge. Let's fucking go. Yeah, boys. All right, we short filling, or are we just gonna fucking moon through it? I'm gonna have to get off so I can get access to my VPN. All right, so last time we broke through the 200 EMA, tested the 200 MA, and we rejected. And we're also testing this little hidden guy right here. That's the 500 MA on the hourly. So this could possibly be a decent profit to a decent level to get short, especially if we come down and close below. I'd have to look at it on a lower time frame, but. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? We up like 20 grand right now? I don't even know, man. Let me see. 4%. 4% of 400,000. 3.5. So we're like 14 grand up. That's pretty good. Pretty good for the weekend. Man, is this just going to short squeeze? Twitter. Let's take a look. Short squeeze imminent. Retweet with comments. We're just going to do rocket emoji. Rocket emoji. Hashtag Bitcoin. All right, so we're rejecting at the 200 EMA. So a decent place to... Really depends. So let's zoom into the 5 minute. All right, so we broke resistance. Coming down now, 100, 200 EMA. So the pullback, if we look back at the hourly, pullback will probably be this 100 EMA. So something like this. So we come up, we reject, come down, we reject, come back up, retest that. But the 500 EMA on the hourly was the actual ticker right there. So we got to watch that guy. But looking pretty damn good. Maybe it's a bit of weekend drunk buying. Nah, this is just a short squeeze, man. Everybody was bearish down here. Everybody was filling some fucking shorts. I got to check in on all my people. Yeah, so it looks good. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. You guys are awesome. Almost 300 of you guys watching the whole time. Man, I'll try and figure out what I want to do on the next one. And my longs are open right now. Yeah. I like this. Yeah, I like 10,000. I like this level right here. But we really need to break this hourly 200 MA because you can see that was the support right there. And once we broke through, that's the retest level on the hourly. So that's what I'd be watching for. Yeah. So once we broke through, we tested this 200 EMA on the 5 minute twice. Great scalping tool right there. Beautiful scalping tool. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Let me know if you want me to do anything specific. Again, if you want to get in on the course giveaway, all you have to do is like the video, leave a comment below after the live stream. We'll be doing those winners announcements on Monday. And then we will go from there. So I appreciate you guys, and just let me know if you have any questions, and we will go from there. Peace out, guys.